Reunion.
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 Action!
It just felt profoundly worthwhile.
It's an ingenious and unique story.
Reunion is the story of a man called Daniel Brennan. He's just out of prison after 10 years inside for committing a terrible crime. He's lost his family, he's lost his friends, he's lost the deaf community.
When he gets out, he finds that he's still isolated, and he's on a journey to try and reunite various people and solve the problems from his past. My character Brennan is on a wildly different journey than that portrayed of normal deaf lives.
He is reunited with his daughter, who I'm playing, and tries to reform the bond that was kind of damaged and lost between them both when he went to prison. And there's kind of the reunion of father and daughter, as well as the wider story of the reunion.
What attracted me to it is the deaf writer. When I read it, there were so many moments in it that was so particularly deaf culture that only deaf people should get it. So it got me so excited to see the moment in it, and I just felt like I have to be in this project.
My dad always believed that every deaf child had a right to an education.
It had this amazing, unique perspective of how it feels to be a deaf man in prison, a deaf man sort of re-entering the world after 10 years. So on the one hand, it was like universal, there were a lot of universal themes, but then on the other hand, it was really specific to deaf culture and the deaf community.
What I love about the story is that everything goes wrong for all the characters because people are not communicating. And it's about failure to communicate. So I found that fascinating, and to put it in the context of a deaf character who can't hear and can't communicate was a really ingenious way of exploring that theme.
I'm from Sheffield, so what I wanted to write is a bit of a love letter to my hometown. I want to show those amazing locations, those amazing places that I remember from my childhood. So when Warp Films first joined the production, I was so happy because Warp is based here in Sheffield. So it was kind of a dream collaboration to be working with them.
I love Sheffield as a town. There's an incredible generosity of spirit here.
We've used a lot of deaf people who live and work here in Sheffield as part of Reunion, and that was really important for me. From the start, I wrote Reunion as a bilingual script, which meant I used italics and bold to show the different range of communication they use in the script. I had to think about that carefully.
How am I? I just paid off the mortgage, I bought a new car. I'm in line for a promotion, actually. Why are you still wearing that?
I love that Reunion is an inclusive production, and I think it's one of the things that's most important to me personally. I feel like not only are we telling a story, you know, with a deaf protagonist and deaf cast members, but we've also managed to get, you know, some amazing deaf crew members as well, a lot of whom have been like invaluable to us making this. And it's really lovely to see the connection between the hearing crew and the deaf crew, and to see those relationships being formed, but also us all pushing together towards the sort of common goal of making the show.
We have a deaf access team who are kind of central to everything, just making sure that we have all the interpreters we need every day. We also have a whisper track, which is having one of the interpreters just reading out everything that gets signed on set so that everything hopefully works as a sort of fully bilingual set. We took a lot of advice over through the whole production period because there were a lot of things to take into consideration. We consulted with Triple C, who very early on set up a deaf round table, which was a meeting with deaf creatives as well, just to talk about good and bad experiences they'd had on set previously.
It's amazing to see. I remember that pre-shoot that we did, just seeing it work. Luke, the director, is now like pretty much fluent in BSL, and Lara is just incredible. They're just having conversations outside, so it's just really great to see that the team's embraced it.
There are two actors I'm really proud of. Lara Peake and Anne-Marie Duff both had to learn sign language for this series, and they've learnt in a matter of weeks.
I think enough time has passed that your dad would want me to move on, to try. I've really loved it, and it's very interesting translating and saying, okay, if I would act this vocally in this way, How would I physicalise that then in scenes where I don't vocalise? And so it's exactly the same. I'd be just as awkward physically as I would with my voice, you know, and things like that. So it's been rather beautiful, actually. I was an absolute beginner when it came to signing. In a way, sometimes that can be the best place to start because you don't bring anything with you. You're just wide open and ready to learn. And I've had the most incredible teacher, Duffy.
Duffy, he's like complete legend teacher that has taught me pretty much every day, I think, for about 3 weeks. And as time's gone on, we've kind of been out in social settings, and then I think when you can apply what you've learned in a more formal setting to then going to the pub, there's all different signs for different accents and different regions, and you pick up so much more as well outside of the formal learning environment.
We've had a really good giggle along the way, and even just having a cup of tea with everybody, I'm having to sign all the time. So it's immersion, you know, it's like visiting this beautiful country where I've had to learn the language, and yeah, I've loved it, it's been brilliant.
For the chemistry audition with Matty, I was asked to learn the scene in BSL, and I got sent a video of the sign, and then I kind of at that stage just had to copy it and memorise it, and then put the emotion and the acting on top of it after I'd kind of cemented the movement. But then actually learning BSL for the show, I've not been copying, I've been properly learning the meaning of the words. I've always been quite fascinated by it as a language and like the visuals and everything, but I didn't know any of it. So it's just been really amazing to learn it and soak it all up. I just find the whole process amazing and I feel really grateful.
Did that? Wilma tried to get rid of me. The environment on set around signing is so alive, you know, because it's not just actors who are deaf, there's also crew members. Everyone's having to communicate with each other. And it's been a really good example of how we can, and how easy it is actually, if we try.
The deaf culture and the deaf community is quite underserved, you know, on TV. I think there's still a long way to go in terms of real inclusivity and giving deaf cast and crew members like real opportunities, but I'm really happy and glad that we were able to do that on this. It feels really important to this show.
It's a unique story. It's completely different from other deaf films. It showcases pure BSL. It's different from hearing actors. We are much more visual storytellers. This is not about sound. It's not about relying on sound. It's about using your eyes and seeing what is going on in the story.
And I love the fact that this felt, not only was it a really important story about the deaf community in a perspective I'd never read before, but it was really entertaining and thrilling. The story is an absolute roller coaster. And I think that, coupled with the perspective, that's the sweet spot for us.